Before the age of Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Warren Buffett, there was one man whose name became synonymous with unimaginable wealth and unshakable ambition: John D. Rockefeller. In a time when America was still growing, recovering from civil war, and experimenting with capitalism, one man carved his name into the very foundation of economic power. But this story isn't just about oil or dollars. It's about vision. It's about consistency. It's about starting from nothing and building an empire brick by brick. Rockefeller didn't stumble into fortune. He hunted it, with sharp eyes and unbreakable will. His empire didn't begin in a mansion, but in a small wooden house, with a boy who believed that every cent could grow into something more. This boy didn't have access to powerful people or elite schools. What he had was hunger, not for food, but for a future. In every moment of silence, while others played or wasted time, he studied. In every cent he earned, he saw potential. And while the world moved fast and chaotically around him, Rockefeller trained himself to move with purpose. This is the story of how one boy went from counting pennies to controlling the most powerful industry in America. And it might just be the story that changes your path too. John Davison Rockefeller was born in 1839 in Richford, New York. From the very beginning, his life was defined by contradictions. His father, William Big Bill Rockefeller, was a traveling salesman and a self-proclaimed botanic physician, known more for his charisma than his credibility. Big Bill taught his son how to make deals, how to read people, and how to stay ahead. But he also introduced him to a world of manipulation and deceit. Meanwhile, John's mother, Eliza, was the opposite: devout, frugal, and deeply principled. She instilled in him the virtues of honesty, hard work, and thrift. Where Big Bill showed him how to survive in the real world, Eliza taught him how to live with values. These conflicting influences shaped Rockefeller's character, a man who would be both feared and admired. Ruthless in business but religiously disciplined in life. Growing up in modest conditions, Rockefeller began working from an early age. He raised turkeys, sold candy, and even lent money to neighbors, with interest. He learned to account for every penny. He once said, "I do not think there is any other quality so essential to success of any kind as the quality of perseverance." At age 16, he got his first real job as an assistant bookkeeper. It paid 50 cents a day. That's it. But while others saw low pay, Rockefeller saw an opportunity to master numbers, to understand costs, and to observe patterns in trade and finance. He kept a ledger where he wrote down every cent earned, saved, or spent, a habit he would maintain throughout his life. This discipline was not just financial, it was spiritual. Rockefeller treated money with reverence. He saw each transaction as a brick in the foundation of his future. The 1860s were a time of upheaval and innovation. America was rebuilding from war, and industries were exploding. But oil was chaos. Wells were drilled recklessly. Refineries burned down frequently, and prices rose and fell like storms. John D. Rockefeller stepped into this volatile environment and did what few others could. He brought order. He understood that the real value wasn't in striking oil, it was in refining it, processing it, and delivering it with consistency. He focused on efficiency, standardization, and relentless improvement. In 1863, he partnered with Samuel Andrews and entered the oil refining business in Cleveland. Where others saw short-term profit, Rockefeller saw infrastructure. He reinvested constantly. He demanded precision. He cut waste ruthlessly and negotiated deals that gave him advantages others couldn't imagine. He worked not just on the product, but on the entire system: transportation, pricing, packaging, and labor. He negotiated with railroads to get lower freight rates in exchange for consistent, massive shipments. This gave him a cost advantage his competitors couldn't beat. he began buying out competitors, not through force, but through logic. He'd show them how much money they were losing, offer a generous price, and absorb them into Standard Oil. Slowly, strategically, he eliminated inefficiency and consolidated control. By 1880, Standard Oil controlled 90% of the U.S. refining market. That wasn't just a company. That was an empire. An empire built not by chasing trends, but by mastering one process better than anyone else on Earth. You don't need to be everywhere. You need to dominate where it matters. Choose your battlefield. Outwork, outthink, and outlast everyone on it. As Standard Oil grew, so did public concern. Critics accused Rockefeller of being a monopolist, a manipulator, and even a villain. They claimed he destroyed small businesses and created unfair advantages. And in some ways, they were right. Rockefeller was not trying to play fair. He was trying to win. He created secret deals with railroads, demanded exclusive contracts, and slashed prices temporarily to wipe out rivals. Once competitors folded, prices returned to normal, and Rockefeller expanded further. His methods were legal at the time, but they tested every limit of ethics and regulation. In 1904, journalist Ida Tarbell, whose father had once suffered at the hands of Standard Oil, published a devastating exposé. It painted Rockefeller as a manipulative force undermining the free market. Public opinion turned. In 1911, the Supreme Court ruled that Standard Oil was in violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act. The company was broken up into 34 separate entities, but Rockefeller didn't collapse. His shares in each new company appreciated rapidly. The breakup made him even richer. Exxon, Chevron, Mobil, all born from the fragments of Standard Oil. Sometimes the obstacles you fear the most are the very forces that push you to your next level. Adversity isn't the end. It's the beginning of reinvention. In his later years, Rockefeller turned his attention toward giving. But he didn't just donate. He designed systems for philanthropy. He created foundations that would outlive him, solve long-term problems, and create opportunities for generations. The University of Chicago, Rockefeller University, the Rockefeller Foundation. These were not gifts. They were investments in human potential. His money funded breakthroughs in medicine, science, education, and civil rights. He believed in teaching people to rise. He supported institutions that taught discipline, learning, and responsibility. He once said, "The best philanthropy is constantly in search of the finalities, a search for a cause, an attempt to cure evils at their source." Even in charity, he was a strategist. He asked, what structures must exist so others can build their own empires? Your success isn't measured by what you earn. It's measured by what you enable. Build so others can build. Leave behind blueprints, not just buildings. John D. Rockefeller wasn't a myth. He was a man. One who woke up early, tracked every expense, avoided alcohol, prayed daily, and studied numbers religiously. He wasn't loud. He wasn't flashy. He was precise, methodical, relentless. He played the long game when others played for short victories. He built systems when others chased hype. And most of all, he respected time, his own and others. Every day, every minute was accounted for. You might not build an oil empire, but you can build your empire. In your field, in your craft, in your own way. Start where you are. Refine your habits. Multiply your strengths. Discipline your ambition. Track your growth. Lead with strategy. Think bigger, but move smarter.